Hi folks, in this video we're going to be talking about 3 ways to prevent typos in your copy. I'm Chris Shulgan. I'm a partner at Ghost Bureau. We're a Toronto content marketing agency. Okay, typos. Nobody likes them. What they do, they pull you out of what you're reading. Whenever you're reading something, I don't care what it is, if you see a typo in it, you start thinking, how much effort did they put into writing this copy? But these days I do feel like you can find typos everywhere. I even found one in the Pulitzer Prize winning novel that I happen to be reading right now, The Executioner's Song by Norman Mailer. There's a comma there. I thought to myself, oh God, you would think that it'd been copy edited by some of the best copy editors in the world. Even they miss stuff. Another place that you can find typos a lot are email newsletters. One of the ones that I follow closely is the one that's created by Benedict Evans. He's a tech consultant. His insights I find always really interesting and thought-provoking. However, one thing that drives me crazy about his newsletter is that it is riddled with spelling and grammatical errors. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple. Video whose GPUs power half the AI world, never mind modes. Everyone is trying to work out what the tectonic plates are. What it should say is NVIDIA, whose GPUs power half the AI world, and then never mind modes. Never mind also that these should be M dashes, not just plain hyphens. Another of my favorite Benedict Evans typos comes from an item on MindGeek. So MindGeek, which owns a large proposition of the adult tube streaming video sites, so a large proportion, that should be proportion. I don't know. I mean, this drives me crazy too. The placement of this quotation should actually, at least according to AP style, be after the period. One of the places that absolutely should not have any typos whatsoever is the New York Times. If you're a journalist and you make a mistake in a New York Times story, then they track it. If there are too many mistakes over time, then they fire you. This is from a story about the way Ukraine is trying to get more weapons out of NATO. The Kremlin on Friday brushed off Poland's pledge of MiG-29s, saying the jets would not affect the war's outcome. Okay, that should actually be affect. A-F-F-E-C-T, not E-F-F-E-C-T. Okay, for another one from the New York Times, another typo from the New York Times, also coincidentally about affect. So this one is from a news story about this Silicon Valley bank. This is an entrepreneur who is talking about the effect on her business, the Silicon Valley Bank failure. In the days since, Ms. Mouskoff has been cautiously watching how the bank's failure might the economy. So of course that should be might affect the economy, not really sure what happened there. Although nice to see that they used an M dash. Then here's one of the worst typos ever. This is the Lyndon B. Johnson School of Public Affairs. It's their 2012 commencement pamphlet. You know, this is being given out to parents of all the graduates who invested money in their kids' education. They're proud. This is a big day for them, and then they get it, and it's the School of Pubic Affairs. Then they tweeted out an apology and then got a mistake in the apology. So egregious really it's not egregious, it's egregious. Just one G up there. Okay, so how to prevent these sorts of things? The idea is to set up editorial processes that minimize typos. So here are 3 techniques that we use at Ghost Bureau. Every bit of copy that goes out our door has been seen by at least 2 and probably 3 sets of eyes. So there's the writer, and then there's the editor going over it, and then we like to give it to one more person to see just one last polish. That's true of like a social media post, that's true of email newsletters, that's true of white papers. It's also true of videos, which unfortunately typos can happen in videos. They can happen in the lower third identifiers, they can happen in explanatory text. And so what happens is you really need to have these videos looked at by somebody who knows grammar, by somebody who knows copy editing. Another way to do it, particularly for editorial copy, is once you're done, maybe it's a blog post, once you're done it, to actually print it off from a paper printer and then to take a rest. Like go for a walk if you can afford the time. Just go get a glass of water, maybe do 25 push-ups. I do that sometimes. That's given you some separation. That's injected some separation between the guy who created the copy and now you're wearing your editor's hat. You actually look at the printout of the copy and it's just different enough from what was on the screen, the context of it, to bring a fresh perspective, and for some reason you're able to see typos much better in that situation. And the third thing that also, this is mostly for editorial copy, so email newsletters, white papers, whatever, and this is particularly good for spelling mistakes, for punctuation, for wayward apostrophes or commas or quotation marks, what is the best thing to do is to actually read the copy backwards. So you're not actually reading, but you're going from the very last word and you're going in backward order so that you're not getting distracted by the meaning of the sentence. All that you're doing is looking at sequence at each word. Is that spelled correctly? Okay, to wrap up, there are 3 things that you can do to minimize typos in your copy. Number 1, have all of your copy looked at by a second set of eyes. I don't care if it's video copy, I don't care if it's email newsletter copy, whatever it is, it could be a social media post. Have somebody else look at it, have somebody else then look at it again so that everybody, these fresh perspectives, can prune out the mistakes in the copy. Number 2, print it out. That brings a fresh perspective to you before you give it to the second set of eyes. And number 3, read it backwards. And that's a great way to find spelling mistakes and errors of punctuation. I hope I didn't embarrass any of the people who perpetrated any of the typos or Benedict Evans. Man, I love you. I read your stuff every week. It's just, let's do better on those typos, man. Thanks very much. And if you're interested in having Ghost Bureau create content for you, whether it's video, whether it's social media, whether it's editorial, drop us a line at hello@ghostbureau.com. Thank you so much.